Hi, my name is Jonathan Byrd, here to give you the information, the inspiration, and the motivation to write new songs. And today I want to talk about bridges, not the G-dub or the Tappan Zee or the one over troubled waters. I'm talking about bridges in songs and how they can take a song from being a good song to, I gotta hear that again. If you've been following my Don't Forget to Write playlist, right here, I covered strophic songs, which as a rule do not have bridges. I covered verse-chorus songs, which many times have bridges. I covered American songbook form, which almost as a rule has a bridge, which a lot of people call the B part. Some people say it's not a true bridge. I'm not going to argue with the musicologists about this, but that theme, variation, and theme of American songbook form, that variation is the bridge that I'm talking about. And that's the reason to have a bridge in a song at all, is to provide contrast to the rest of the song. The only bad reason to use a bridge is, hey, a lot of other songs have bridges. I must need one in my song too. You don't need a bridge. But I'm going to cover 7 reasons why you might want to have a bridge and provide examples of how they work in those songs. So method number 1 of using your bridge to bring variety to your song is through melodic contrast. I want to look at this excellent song by Eddie Arnold and Cindy Walker. It's called You Don't Know Me. Ray Charles did a great version. Emmylou Harris has a great version. And I will link all these songs in a playlist in the description, all the songs I talk about in this video. So this one goes, you give your hand to me, and then you say hello, and I can hardly speak. My heart is beating so, and anyone can tell. You think you know me well, but you don't know me. And it has these short phrases. You give your hand to me, and then you say hello, and I can hardly speak. My heart is beating so, and anyone can tell. These little short phrases. But then he gets to the bridge, and he goes, I never knew the art of making love. I just changed keys. Though my heart aches with love for you. These long romantic lines in the bridge that contrast with the verses. And this song is American songbook form. There's the theme, variation, and theme. And that lengthening of the melody, the long notes and the long phrases, is the variation that is provided by the bridge in this song. Melodic contrast. So method number 2, harmonic contrast. This is a great Tom Petty song called Here Comes My Girl. It starts with this guitar riff. He makes us wait until the chorus to get to the one chord. Here comes my girl, here comes my girl. Oh, and that's just a minor 2. So I'm in the key of E. This is the F minor. It's still in the key. She looks so right. She is all I need tonight. And he goes back to that again. They do another verse. They do another chorus. They recycle all those musical ideas. And then they just want something a little different because Tom wants to sing a third verse, but it's starting to feel redundant. So what does he do? Watch her walk. And the band just riffs on that chord. It's an F major. It's an F7 add 11, I guess it would be. The open B and E strings are ringing, but it's like an F sharp bar chord. It's outside the key, and he just says, watch her walk. That's all the information he gives you, and the band riffs on that chord until they drop back down to the original riff. And it feels so good to get back there after going outside the key again, to get back to a familiar place. Method number 3, rhythmic contrast. Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys is a really cool example of this. So most of that song has this 4 on the floor feel. This bum bum vibrations, bum 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 bum, just this incessant beat, almost like an EDM beat, right? But it gets to the bridge and it starts going boom ta 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 ta, and you have this backbeat feel. The tempo doesn't change. The meter doesn't change, just the way the heartbeat of the song is felt changes and opens up until they build up again and get back to that and they give us the drop, we would call it nowadays, and it feels so good to get back there. Number 4, dynamic contrast. Great, subtle, understated example of this is Sitting on the Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding and Steve Cropper. Most of this song is right in the middle of his voice, you know, sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away, sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. There's not much going on, cool groove. The music is cool. He's right in the middle of his beautiful voice, but he's not really using that amazing voice until he gets to the bridge. He says, "Looks like nothing's gonna change." And he goes way up in his high register and he starts preaching. Everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. And you feel the frustration and the emotion in his voice just for a moment. And then it settles back down. "Sitting here resting my bones, this loneliness won't leave me alone." Back into that middle ground and the groove. But you had that taste. You got to see the real man in that bridge and the real feeling of that man in the bridge. Method number 5, a lyrical contrast. I'm going to use one of my own songs to demonstrate this. So this song is called "It Don't Make Sense." And it goes, "Pussyfoot, a cat in heat, dinner's cold, lunch and meat, a butcher's block on lonely street. I'm so tired and I can't sleep. It don't make sense to me." You can hear there's a lot of wordplay in here. Recorded live, played to death. I'm crying where we used to laugh. And now I find I've lost the past among 100 photographs. It don't make sense to me. It's almost like Oscar Wilde has written a song. It's a song full of epigrams and wordplay. But when I get to the bridge, I wondered, like, how can I contrast with what I'm doing? I love all this intricate wordplay that I'm doing, but I want to just feel something. And so I ended up writing the bridge that goes, "I tried to tidy up the house today." Something you would say on any normal day. "But I couldn't find a place for all those dreams we had." We have just laid it out on the line. This is what I'm really talking about. "Now you've gone and taken all your stuff. You think there'd be room enough." Right back into the wordplay. "There was a time I placed a bet on even odds with no regrets, and the outcome's in and all I get's a future that I can't forget. It don't make sense to me. No, it don't make sense to me." And I tag it and it's over. American Songbook form, AABA, theme, theme, variation, and theme. Lyrical contrast. Method number 6, take the song in a completely different direction. So "A Day in the Life" by the Beatles is a great example of this. And if you know the history of this is actually John's idea and Paul's idea that were just put into a mashup together. Mashups are very popular now. You can create your own mashup. So it starts with, "I read the news today, oh boy," and the other one, "He blew his mind out in a car. I saw a film today, oh boy." These verses, this A, this theme, and theme. And then there's the variation. And what happens is there's a glissando where the orchestra comes in and goes from low to high notes and builds up in volume. And then you hear this pulse and then bump, bump. The piano's there by itself. "Woke up, got out of bed, dragged a comb across my head." Whole different world. It's like we were looking in one window, looking at John Lennon reading the newspaper, and then we just walked down the street a little bit and looked in another window, and here's Paul McCartney getting ready for work, headed out the door. And it's kind of a different story, but it's in the same town, and that's how that song feels to me. Incredible use of a bridge in a song, just taking it in a completely different direction. Method number 7. Let's say you don't want to be clever. You don't want to say anything poetic. You're not Keats, you're James Brown. James Brown, "Get Up, I Feel Like Being a Sex Machine." What a title that is. It's mostly a groove in E flat. It goes, right? And it just grooves for a long time, and James sings, and he raps, and the horn players play. There's a little piano riff in it. And then James is like, "Hey, should I take you to the bridge?" Like, James has got to ask the band. But the band's like, "Yeah, you want to take you to the bridge? Yeah, should I take you to the bridge? Yes." We're all like, "Yes, James, whatever the bridge is, take us there." And they just go up to the A flat, which is the 4 of E flat. And the rhythm just gets a little more intricate. Oops. Right? And they just groove on that for a minute, and they drop us back down to the E flat. and we're back in that groove again. It gives us just enough variety in this very simple song that is only designed for everyone to have as much fun as possible. It gives us just enough variety so when we get back to that E-flat groove, it feels good again, and we dance it out. I've been talking a lot. I just want to provide a little bit of contrast. That's the bridge of my video. This month, I re-released my first album to streaming services. It's called Wildflowers. I'm going to give one away right now to the first person who can tell me which song out of the 16 songs on this album has a bridge. There's only one song on this whole album that has a bridge. You tell me which one it is, and you'll get a free album. I'll need you to email me your address, info@jonathanbyrd.com. You can mail me the address once you have made the comment, and I will send this record to you. And thanks so much for watching. Now that we've learned something about bridges and why we would use them, let's pan for gold. So I read this story in the paper. It's a real newspaper. The thing is, it doesn't scroll. It says, a man killed by police officer in Duke emergency room was shot 3 times. Like, I had to read that several times. Was the police officer in the emergency room, or was the guy in the emergency room? And like, how does this work? Turns out there was a guy in police custody in the emergency room who was freaking out on PCP, and the officer shot him 3 times and killed him in the emergency room. So the way I might tell this story, and the way I might use a bridge in the telling of this story, is to tell the facts, to ask all the questions that a journalist might ask. Where did it happen? When did it happen? Who was it? Describe the police officer, describe the victim, describe the people who were there, the nurses and the doctors walking back and forth, the scene. Those are all the things that a journalist might write about to tell you the story. And then on the other side of the page, emotional information. Let's say you reveal in the bridge that you are a nurse and you were there and you watched it happen. You are shocked, you're surprised, you're saddened, you feel like you're not safe anymore. That felt very unsafe for you to be there, even though the police officer was ostensibly protecting you and everybody else there. Somebody was killed in front of you, and that always feels unsafe, right? And maybe that conflict between the feeling of being protected and the feeling of watching somebody who was not protected, maybe that's where your bridge is. But you have the story told like a journalist, and you have your true human emotional life that we can all connect to. And if you can take us there in the bridge, it's going to make that story so much stronger, so much more resonant in our hearts. I want you to find a story in the newspaper, in another song, in a novel, in a short story. Give us the facts on one page. On the other page, tell us how you feel about it. Maybe not how you feel about it, but put yourself inside the song as a person in that story and tell us how they feel about it. And remember to use melodic contrast, harmonic contrast, dynamic contrast, rhythmic contrast, lyrical contrast. You can take us to a completely different place in the story. Maybe you're the dispatcher on the call and we suddenly shift into listening to the dispatcher on the radio in the bridge. Or you can just amp up a dance track. I feel like this story is not going to be a dance track. If you come up with something cool by thinking about songs this way, leave it in the comments for us, please. If you support me on Patreon, you can send me a message there. Patreon.com/JonathanByrd. Music helps to build this channel and keep it alive. Whatever you do, like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications so that other learners can find the information, the inspiration, and the motivation that they need to write their own songs. And don't forget to write. You guys ready to go to the bridge? Yeah. You want to go to the bridge? Yeah. Are you sure? Are you positive you want to go to the bridge? James, let's go to the bridge, or we're going to go to the Otis Redding show.